Hey Scorpio, what's going on? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is Queen of Swords. And we also have Three of Swords. Okay, so Queen of Swords is looking at Three of Swords, and this is feeling like something that you are noticing that you want to understand, because Queen of Swords is observant and wanting to look into something, to inquire about it, to understand it, to gather information from it. There can be something that you feel like you need to learn more about, or it's just been brought to your attention, where that's what's happening here with this. It can be something that feels difficult to look at though, because it's a Three of Swords. Maybe be something that's hard to see, just because of the nature of it. Okay. You can be noticing where pain has you closed off. Queen of Swords, Three of Swords, Five of Swords, Two of Wands. Kind of like looking into things. This can be plotting in a way where the attempt is to protect yourself or to guard yourself in some way, and at the same time you can feel like there's a bit of a disconnect emotionally. Three of Swords and Five of Swords is that classic, like, I've been hurt and so I feel like I need to protect myself, and also to, like, anything could be a threat, anything could be an enemy, and that's how I take my steps with that in mind. But having this Queen of Swords here, I wonder if you're like noticing this about yourself, that this gets activated at times, and sort of what motivates particular choices that are being made. And it can be something that you want to maybe there's another energy that you want to be embodying here. Because this would be a way of going about things that's motivated by fear. And so getting to explore the energy of fear, maybe there's something else that you want to be exploring rather than this. I'm seeing Leo coming out here, Scorpio. I don't think that this is an easy thing to see, and I also feel too like this is requiring you to move through stuff that can feel very daunting to be addressing. The Knight of Wands is going right into the Three of Swords, and this doesn't feel like I'm moving into a situation where I'm going to be re-wounded in some type of way. This feels like in order for me to move forward, I need to address this, and the only way forward is moving through this. And so it's something that I must address. But because of the energies that I'm seeing here, it may not be feeling like an easy thing to do. I'm seeing you be capable of doing this. I'm seeing you be able to do this. I'm seeing you be available to do this. At the same time, it can be something where there's still that resistance to addressing something, where there's pain involved, where you can see it as there being suffering involved as well. There can be a sort of denial of this. I'm seeing this part of your energy be like, I do want to go in that direction only so I can move through it. I do want to address it. When we have Knight of Wands here, it can feel like you have to connect with your willpower and your bravery within you to address this, but that it will be worth it, because then it will free you of this as well, and it's the only way. This can feel like something very, very difficult to be addressing here. Whenever I see strength coming out, I see it as indicating something that feels very difficult for us to do, where you have to assert your willpower and your discipline in order to do something, but that you are capable of it, and it comes down to whether you believe that or not, ultimately. And that's literally what makes the difference here, because I'm seeing you be capable of working through something. I'm seeing you be capable of addressing this, capable of working with this energy. If you believe that, then you will be. If you don't believe that, then you won't be. Like, that's literally what determines it. And that's why strength can be so difficult of an energy to work with as well, because in order for you to harness it, you need to believe it. You need to believe in yourself that you can do this. But you can feel also too like it takes a lot of resilience, and that can feel challenging in this instance, even though that is also your nature too. This is a getting connected, getting in touch with that aspect of your nature. I do get the sense that this is what this new chapter is about, and this is going to determine things for you as well. If I could simplify the reading, I feel like there's something really unpleasant that you're meant to be addressing here if you're willing to, and that can greatly... it will greatly impact and determine the direction that is taken. Like, it looks like there are two different roads that you can take here, and one of the paths, it maybe initially have to address something that can feel extremely unpleasant to address, but it gets you on the path you want to be on and allows you to be traveling that way. Or this can be something that's going to be avoided, and then that will detour you in another direction. Feels like karmic cycles are connected with this as well. Not easy to take these steps, but necessary if you want to have sort of control over where you're going. I really do feel like this boils down to if you're willing to address this or not, and if you are willing to address it, that it will put you on a path and be having you move in a direction that you want to be moving in. The path that you want to be traveling down. This will set you up for that. But if there is an avoidance of this right now, because for some reason it feels like you're going to address it or you're not going to address it, it needs to be addressed. But the reason why there can be avoidance is because it's painful to address this, or it's challenging to address this. But at the same time, you can feel like there's an emotional disconnect because of this, and that this will allow you to connect in a way that you have been longing to connect. I feel like this keeps you from a deeper level of intimacy as well. And so there can also be, like, with that in mind, it's like making choices and taking steps with the thing in the front of your brain being like, is this a threat or is this not? Could I get hurt or could I not? And it feels like everything to avoid. You know what? If I could like describe what's happening energetically, it's like, let's say that you have a wound somewhere, okay? What I'm seeing has been going on is that all of these plans that have been being made, like the way that things have been, the way that moves have been calculated and being made and laid out, have been everything to avoid something that will hit that wound. But the other way of dealing with this is that you could heal that and then you can do what you want. So then you don't have to be doing things with keeping that in mind. Like, is it going to hit me there where I have that wound? Because the wound isn't going to be there anymore. So that it will feel like that vulnerability isn't there anymore. That determines certain choices that have been being made. But in order to do this, it feels like the wound needs to be directly addressed. That is the only way to properly heal this. And then it's not going to be a thing anymore. Like, it's not going to have to be calculated into the choices that you're making anymore. And it feels like it heavily influences a lot of the choices that are being made currently. And you can see that too. Like, you can see that when the choices become about that, about avoiding that pain, that it drastically changes what's going on for you within your life. And that even though it can be like having to directly address that can initially feel painful, it's also the thing that's going to help that thoroughly heal. And you can feel like you become, in a way, like the master of your destiny again, where it's not just about avoidance anymore, that choices are being made for a different reason. And it feels very much like that will be extremely liberating for you. Like it allows you to have this sense of power back that you may not feel currently. But it requires determination from you. And I think more than anything, it requires self-belief that it is possible for you, that if you really go into this and you address it, something can happen and this can truly be healed. And things can change for the better. Because this feels too like when you have that wound that you're like doing everything to make sure that nothing will impact that nothing will hit that, because if it hits it, it's going to bring it up again. And then like that's going to be an experience that you don't want to be having. It feels like every time a shift is starting to happen, you may go into like high alert and you may like really shut down at that point. It can feel like a really regressive time for you. Whereas if you weren't worried about that, like if that was healed and it wasn't a thing anymore that you needed to be like thinking about all the time, it really does feel like there would be a welcoming of shifts when they're happening, a welcoming of the expansion, a welcoming of changing, and feeling like it's sort of sending you on the right way that you want to be moving on that path. Feels like it allows you to feel connected with yourself again too, in a way that you can feel like is missing a little bit right now. I mean, like really it's not actually missing, but it's just covered up by this. So as this is healed, it sort of lets that layer fall off as well, and you can feel like your process is more of what you want it to be rather than what you don't want it to be. Making choices based off of what you feel connected with and what feels like joy to you or what feels like peace to you, rather than everything being from that place of avoiding having that get hit. So this chapter is about addressing exactly that. This can feel a lot mentally to be taking on. And there can be a part of you that feels like wanting to avoid it, because if you've been making all of these plans to avoid having this be hit, but now the plan that needs to be made is to directly address this, your instinct from a wounded place can be like, this is a bad idea. But what's going to happen is that when this is being directly addressed, which again can initially feel painful, it's going to allow it to heal properly. And then it's not going to be a thing anymore. And that's what this is about. So you can feel like it's not going to be something that holds you back anymore. It's not going to be something that has to be factored into choices and really changes the course in a way that doesn't allow you to have the experience that you want to have. And that is what this is connected with. I do feel like this will vastly change things within your life in a desirable way. But this will only happen if you allow it to. This is on you. When we have strength, it's all about your choice and if you're going to decide that or not. So it's up to you completely and entirely. You will not be forced to address this if you don't want to. The choice is yours. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.